Welcome to the Daddy Sharps featured bets, everybody. These are the bets we also love, in addition to our best bets that you can find on our podcast.
But you're only going to find them right here on this beautiful website, daddysharps.com, baby.
You can also check us out on social media at Daddy Sharps and at Daddy Sharps Podcast, and you can check out our YouTube channel as well. John, I
Yes.
am excited about this week.
Oh, we got some good ones. We got a good week here. We're going to jump right into the featured bets, but with the disclaimer, because more and more players are sitting out because of the NFL draft or they're hitting the transfer portal. So we are only leaning towards these bets in college football. So make sure you're doing your research right before kickoff. Some of these guys are getting scratched an hour before kickoff. So make sure you're looking at that before you place the bets.
Absolutely. And with that disclaimer, let's get into it, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'll kick us off with the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
I don't know what it is, but I always like this bowl.
I do too. Georgia State is playing Utah State. Utah State laying 3 in this one. The over-under is 59.5. My lean is the over 59.5. So whenever you see a huge total like this and then you see a small spread, you should stop and you should really look at it and think, because usually teams tend to pull away by wider margins in games with projected big totals. It's just the way it is. They don't keep neck and neck when they're hitting big scores like that. Utah State's defense ranked outside the top 100 in yards allowed per carry this season, and they are 118th in tackling, and they have a horrible rushing defense. So there's that.
Yes.
However,
that's not good.
on offense for Georgia State, their best running back just transferred to Missouri.
Great.
Good for him. Bad for this game, but they do have plenty of other offensive weapons, and including their running back who can also run. And Utah State, they can definitely put up numbers as well on offense. They have showed it all season long. I say look for a shootout here. I think the safe bet actually is an over 59.5.
Nice. All right, we got a bet that you actually made a best bet, sir, and I'm going to be tailing you on it. The Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina versus San Jose State. I like the over as well. You laid out a lot of the major reasons in our podcast earlier. The key number here for me in college football is 55. It's the most common total for college football games to end on, and we're getting this total at 54. So you cannot bet this any higher than 54.5. To the teams in best bets, I said I love San Jose State to cover the 9.5. And one of the reasons Spartan's best player is from Hawaii. He's a senior, and this is going to be his last game in the home state. Because of that, I don't think they're going to pull him early, and he's going to want to put on a show for everybody in the stands. Most of them is going to be his family that have come to support him. San Jose State is a team that plays in a lot of high-scoring games. In the last 10 matchups, they've only seen a post by the books under 55 3 times, and they're 2-1 to the over when it's under 55. Coastal Carolina, they're going to have to help with the over here too, and they're going to, with the 110th ranked scoring offense in the country, or defense, not good. That's going to be destroyed by this quarterback. My best bet here is the over 54.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Absolutely. And I made it a best bet as well. All right. On to South Alabama, who is laying 17 in a bowl game against Eastern Michigan. The over-under is 46.5. I'm leaning to the Jaguars winning and covering that 17. Here's why. Wow. The Eastern Michigan Eagles are probably the worst team in this entire bowl season. They are horrible. And their starting quarterback just entered the portal. For South Alabama, they are explosive on offense. Their quarterback is 21st in passing EPA this season. The Jags offense is 42nd in yards per play. Take South Alabama and the Jaguars minus 17.
Nice. All right. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Kansas minus 12.5 versus UNLV 64.5. I have 2 bets here. We got a double bet in this bowl game. Kansas minus 12.5, and I also like the under 64.5. Let's start with the spread. UNLV, amazing. 10-3 against the spread, but 0-2 against the spread in the last 2 games. And those came against some of the best teams in the Mountain West Conference. In that championship game, they didn't cover against Boise State. And then, of course, we just talked about them, San Jose State. They didn't cover against them either. Kansas, these guys are 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 games, and that came against teams like Kansas State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, some big time programs. UNLV will have a hard time keeping up in this one within 2 touchdowns. Now, the 64.5. These are 2 of the top 25 scoring offenses in the country. I like the under because of where they put these numbers up. Kansas was putting points up against Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. UNLV was doing it against some of the worst defenses in the country, like Hawaii, Colorado State, and Nevada. I don't see UNLV being able to put up those numbers against a Big 12 defense to hit this very high total, 64.5. Take the under 64.5.
Impressive. I love the breakdown. On to the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Texas. Air Force versus James Madison. Madison favored by 2 in this one. I think it's going between 2.5, 2, fluctuating back and forth at a lot of different books. Get your best number, the one you believe in. The over-under is around 41 as well. Again, these numbers fluctuate a lot as we get closer to kickoff. My lean, though, is Air Force plus 2, and I love them even better at 2.5 or 3
Yes.
if you can get that. Interesting game between these two teams because Air Force doesn't really lose players of the transfer portal. They actually do, but it's like 1 or 2 a year, and it's sometimes like during the summer after they finish a year, and then kids leave the academy, right? So
Yes.
the Dukes will most likely start Billy Atkins at quarterback. He's played in just 3 games, folks, all season long, and has limited experience. I love the Dukes. I love the Dukes this year, but man, and it's the Dukes defense that has been lights out this season, the best in college football. They've lost a ton of players, including 3 of their best starters who logged more than 650 snaps this season. The Dukes also lost their head coach who left to go coach Indiana. So there's that as well. Looks like Air Force will get back their starting quarterback. But again, as we stressed on the podcast and best bets, you stress, I should say, you got to make sure Larrier actually plays this game. If he does, forget it, man. Just bet this. I say bet him anyway. They're playing a shell of a team. I think Air Force will cover no problem, plus 2.
Nice. All right. So I got a side to one of your best bets that I don't think you touched on. You took Troy. So Duke versus Troy minus 7.5, 44.5 is the total. And I'm interested to hear what you think about this. I like the over 44.5, and I know what you're thinking. Troy has a phenomenal defense, but this is the reason why. Duke is missing a ton of starters on offense and defense, and I see Troy scoring at ease. You also have a Troy team that is 4-1 to the over in the last 5 games. This total is the lowest total in that stretch. Against this depleted defense, I like Troy to put up a ton of points on Duke.
Yeah, totally. And I think you're right. I think that Troy is definitely going to score at will here. I really do. But don't discount Duke to put up at least more than 10. Sure, I think they'll put up double digits. It's a big school. It has been a big program. It's not like their second stringers and third stringers are just, pushovers. They're big kids. They play big football. And so I think they lose this by a lot. I think Troy wins, especially with their defense, but Duke will certainly put up double digits. And that's all you need to get that over, my man.
Yes, yes.
All right, the Camellia Bowl is the last one we've got on the slate, I believe. And the Arkansas State Red Wolves are favored by 3 in this one versus the Northern Illinois Huskies. The total, 53.5. I'm leaning toward the under 53.5. The Red Wolves will replace their starting quarterback with a true freshman almost halfway through the season. And they've been winning ever since, mostly. What's important here, though, is they've been scoring. And on the other side, the Huskies running back has scored 11 touchdowns this season with 6 yards per carry, just lights out. The Red Wolves' run defense is outside the top 100 in rushing EPA. That's not good. But what it does mean is this. That means there's going to be a lot of running in this game with that new continuous clock this season, which means for me, the under 53.5, Johnny J.
Tick, 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 tick,
Tick,
tick,
tick,
tick,
tick.
sir. All right. So in the NFL portion here, I'm going with an under that might surprise some people. Buffalo minus 12.5 at the Chargers, 43.5 is the total. I like the under 43.5. And if I told you back in August, the beginning of the season, these two teams would be 20-8 to the under, I don't think you'd believe me. Nuts with the talent both these teams have on offense. We got a backup quarterback, though, for the Chargers and a star wide receiver in Keenan Allen that some are whispering they are starting to manage his load due to the poor season. Buffalo 4-1 to the under in the last 5 games. Buffalo in a must-win situation, and I see this as a lopsided affair with Buffalo giving up less than a touchdown on the day to preserve our under.
What do you think about? We haven't discussed this. We were talking a little bit earlier about this game. I think the Chargers are just horrible. They are done in so many ways. But what do you think about that spread, Buffalo covering the 12.5?
Oh, it's interesting. I
It's
don't
such
like
so
betting.
many. It's the NFL, and it's so many points. Our data doesn't say do it, but I'm just
Yeah.
curious because I don't think the Chargers will score anything.
But then you get that factor with a brand new coach, interim head coach coming in. They always play tougher for the coach. And then here's a little something interesting I saw today. I guess Austin Eckler gave a interview today, and he said he wants to put down some good tape. He wants to be traded. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year, and he wants out. So he's looking to play his
Interesting.
hardest in these next 3 games.
Interesting. Well, not with that team, you're not. So
Right?
yeah, I don't trust
Yeah.
Buffalo. I don't trust Buffalo enough to cover that either, but they'll
No.
win the game for sure, but I don't know about 12.5.
Yes.
All right. New Orleans Saints are playing on the road at the LA Rams on Thursday night football. The Rams laying 4 at home. The over-under is 46. I got mixed emotions about this. So I'm going with data right here, which tells me that the bet is New Orleans +4. Data and handicapping says the Saints will cover in this spot right here, but everything else tells me to continue to ride that Rams offense. I got to go with the data, and here's why. The Saints are good between the 20s. They've shown us that. It looks like they'll get Olave back this week, so you got a game plan for that. And the Rams defense can't play consistently through all 4 quarters. Last week, they dominated the Commanders in the first half, and they let them back in the game late in the game. And the Commanders put up 20 close to the end. It killed
Yes.
you in fantasy. It
It
absolutely
did.
killed you in
Terry
fantasy.
McLaurin went off in 3
In,
minutes.
in the last 3 minutes.
Yep.
Meanwhile, a lot of people are going to point to the resurgence of the Saints defense. And I say, yes, the Saints defense has looked great in their last 2 games, blowout games against the Giants and the Panthers. Really? Really? Are we crowning them? Are we crowning them?
They're
It's
exactly who
so
we thought they were.
it's so funny how I think, a lot of people that I've listened to think that this line of 4 is a little inflated, maybe because of the defense. Both defenses, quite frankly, one's bad and one, is just being blown up as this great defense. They're good, but are they that good? Come on, man. Giants and Panthers. Look, no doubt this is a big game. Basically, loser goes home. It really, really. And it should be a field goal game. It really should be. And if everything's hitting the way it should, New Orleans +4 is the right number to take.
Nice. All right. I'm going back to the well, Luke. I'm going back. And this is going to be a marquee matchup. And last week, I gave 3 bets in the Baltimore game, and the triple play hit. So this week, Baltimore at San Francisco. San Francisco -5.5. 46.5 is the total. I like 2 bets in this game, sir. I'm going with a double play. Baltimore +5.5, and I like the under 46.5. These are 2 very evenly matched teams. Both have top 5 scoring offenses and defenses. Both are playing for the 1 seed right now. Both well coached and littered with great players. That being said, 5.5 is just too much for 2 teams that are this evenly matched. The Ravens have built a reputation over the years, especially in the playoffs, for being a team that travels well. 4-2 against the spread and the last 6 road games this season. The Ravens are going to keep this close. I also love the under in this game. We have the number 1 scoring defense in the Ravens going against number 2 scoring defense in the 49ers. These 2 give up an average of 17 points a game, well under the 22-point league average. So give me the under 46.5 and give me Baltimore plus 5.5 in this game.
Yeah, two great defenses. I couldn't agree with both of those. I actually bought both of these today.
Yes.
Our data loves Baltimore plus 5.5, and why not? I think you're looking at a Super Bowl preview right here. I really do.
Yes.
Potentially.
Yep, I agree.
Potentially. And the NFL loves drama. And if you've got Baltimore covering or winning this game on the road, and then, they love to be able to say in the Super Bowl, the rematch.
The rematch. Yes. Yep.
There we go. I can't wait to hear what you think about this one. Scared to make it, gonna do it. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. All right, concentrate, because you've got to do this, Luke. You've got to go through this. You've got to go through this wall. The best way around a problem is through it, John.
Uh-oh, what do we got?
New York Jets laying 3 at the Washington Commanders. The over-under is 37.5. My bet, New York Giants -3.
New York Jets -3.
Did I say Giants this
You
whole
said
time?
Giants. You couldn't even get it out because you were so disgusted with yourself.
The subconscious took over and it just said, you can't do it. No.
Hey, I mentioned it before. We look for the best value, not necessarily the best games to watch. Sir, you may have found the worst game of the entire season, and you're putting a bet out there.
The entire season, you got to lay the money on the Jets, Jets. And here's why. These two teams have been eliminated from the playoffs. They're just horrible. Sometimes playing for your job, however, John, instead of the playoffs, is all the motivation you need. I think the Jets defense is kind of in that position, and they really want to take out their frustration and anger on Sam Howell. And I think they will. There's plenty of tape on Howell. Everyone knows what he wants to do and where he wants to go and how he operates. And there's a lot of motivation to sack Howell as well. We talked about this the last couple of weeks. He's been sacked 59 times this season so far, just 9 sacks shy of the all-time league record set by David Carr back in 2002. Also of note, as we move into we should have some jingle or something where I say, the Luke trivia question of the week. I don't know. I'm on this trivia kick, and I'm going to put some trivia questions out there for you and for some others.
Okay, I'm ready
for the listeners. By the way, Carr also sits at 3rd on that list with most sacks at 68. He set that back in 2005, so he's 3rd and 1st, 2002 and 2005.
Jeez.
So other quarterbacks that Hal could pass along the way toward the record: Randall Cunningham, 1992. Neil Lomax with the St. Louis Cardinals in 1985. Are you old enough to remember that guy? I am.
I know the name. I know the name.
That's sad. Never mind. Which brings us to trivia question of the day. He's also going to surpass Ken O'Brien, who was the quarterback for the New York Jets. And Ken O'Brien was sacked a multitude of times back in 1985. Trivia. O'Brien was drafted in 1983, John. Name the 4 quarterbacks. Let me count. 1, 2, 3. Let's call them 5. 5 quarterbacks drafted before or after him. And you're talking about a bunch of Hall of Famers here in this draft. Can you name all of them?
Oh, we're going with all of them?
If you can.
Some say that was the greatest quarterback draft of all time.
It absolutely was,
sir.
Probably the greatest draft of all time. And we'll get to some bonus trivia after this.
All right. I'm gonna try and do this in order, sir. Are you ready?
Okay, go for it.
I'm gonna try and do this in order. John Elway.
Yes.
Hold
on. Drafted number 1 overall. Drafted by which team?
The Baltimore Colts.
Yes, that's right. Well done.
Yes. I got a backstory on that, but I won't go into it now. Okay. So then the last quarterback drafted. So I'm going to do the last one next. Dan Marino.
Yes.
And it was somebody put out there that he was on drugs, which is how he fell.
That's right.
To Pittsburgh.
He was going out smoking the marijuana sticks
at
Pitt.
So then you got
drafted first round number 27 by the Miami Dolphins, of course.
So the 2 in the middle, that's where I'm confused. And I know I have one of them, but I'm trying to make sure.
There's actually 3. There's actually I had to remind myself as well. There's actually 3 in the middle.
There's 3 in the middle. Jim Kelly.
Yes.
I
Drafted
don't know.
14th.
I
Drafted
don't know why I'm
14th
saying
by the
this, but
Bills.
Steve DeBerg?
No, no.
No, it
I
wasn't
think
him.
I think he's older.
Oh, I thought it was Steve DeBerg. And it was a Hall of Famer.
The next three, including Ken O'Brien. So there are three left now. Jim Kelly, you got three left, none of whom are Hall of Famers, including Ken O'Brien. But there are
Yeah.
two, including the number 2 quarterback picked in the draft at number 7 by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh man.
And he's not known for playing for the Chiefs. He bounced around the league, but he's a pretty decent quarterback.
Was it Doug Williams? No, he was drafted by
No.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's right. You want me to tell you? I'm gonna
Yes,
give it
go
to you.
for it. Tell me.
Todd Blackledge.
God.
Yeah, and the other quarterback, and I was like, oh my God, I remember him. Tony Eason,
Yes, I remember him.
drafted by the New England Patriots. And then you had Ken O'Brien right before Dan Marino. Ken O'Brien was drafted number 24, of course, played for the New York Jets. But, John, that was one heck of a draft class.
Yes.
So my bonus trivia question, if you can name any of these players, you're going to get some kind of points from me. It's probably going to be, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be awesome. Name, let's see, out of those quarterbacks, there was 1, 2, 3 Hall of Famers. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other Hall of Famers, NFL Hall of Famers in that draft in 1983. Can you name any others?
Golly.
Non-quarterbacks.
Reggie White?
Nope.
Who was it?
You're gonna kick yourself right here. Number 2 overall pick, Eric Dickerson.
Oh,
Same draft class.
with the
Unbelievable.
glasses. Got the glasses.
That's right.
Yep.
I may pronounce this incorrectly, his last name, because I'm not a Bears fan, never have been. I just remember the Redskins growing up beating the Bears a lot. My
Yep.
team when I grew up outside of DC. Jim Covert, offensive tackle for Chicago. He was a Hall of Famer. You'll know this name, Bruce Matthews, offensive tackle for the Houston Oilers.
That's like a family of royalty right there.
That's right. The Matthews family. That's right. And we know all the more recent Matthews in the NFL as well. One of my favorite players of all time, Darrell Green, drafted
fastest
25th.
man.
Fastest man in the NFL, drafted 25th right after Dan Marino. Of course, had a storied career with the Redskins. And there's one other guy who played for, blows my mind, played for the Chicago Bears, defensive end, drafted number 203 overall in the 8th round of the NFL draft. The 8th round, yours and mine, defensive end, part of the 46 defense.
Was it Big Riverboat Ron?
No. He wasn't he offensive lineman?
No, he was on that defense.
Was he defense? No. Older guy on the team, Richard Dent.
Oh,
unbelievable. So continue. That took a lot of time. So continuing with the sack records, other names on the list that he's going to pass: Steve Berline, Deshaun Watson in 2018 is high on the list. John Kitna, remember that guy, played for the Lions. That was 2006. David Carr, of course, 2005, and Randall Cunningham twice on the list for 1992 and 1986. I think this all leads us to just take the Jets -3. There you go. There you go.
I see what you did there. So you couldn't talk about it, so you had to go to the trivia. I see what you did there.
Come on, that was fun. It was fun. If anything, that was fun. All right.
Yes. All right. Next bet here. I'm going to go up to your team, my man. Seattle -2.5 versus Tennessee. 41.5 is the total. My best bet here, we talked about it a little bit beforehand. Seattle -1.5 first half. I love the Seahawks here, and I love them in that first half. In my data, this has a 70% chance of winning. Seattle is a top 5 scoring offense in the first quarter. Geno's back. They also have the two-headed attack of Walker and the rookie running back Charbonnet. The Titans good at home, but they could be playing this one without Levis. They could be turning to Tannehill in this one, and that's not a good thing. Tannehill started the season 2-4 with 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I am betting the Hawks. keep the momentum they got from Monday Night Football, and they're going to cover this first half -1.5.
I love it. I love that bet a lot, actually. As you can probably hear, my kitty cat playing with his favorite ball right behind me. I've tried several times to get him out of here, but the over/under on that one is that he's going to continue playing with it. So you might hear the jingle in the background.
Nice.
My next bet. I got the one of the just a sucky defense of a team in the Green Bay Packers laying
Yes.
5 points on the road at the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if the Packers should be laying 5 with Jordan Love and their crap defense. The over/under is 36. But my bet here, I'm going back to the well, John. Carolina first quarter spread +1. First quarter spread, Carolina. Let's go.
Nice.
This was a best bet winner last week at a 0.5 point. For the season, the Panthers are 10-4 against the spread in the first quarter. At home, the Panthers are 5-1 against the spread in the first quarter, 3-1 in their last 4 games. Now the Packers, they're 3-0 against the spread in the first quarter in their last 3 road games. So there is that, but I'm riding the wave here. Carolina covers, and Jordan Love is who we thought he was, just mediocre, and their defense is horrible. The Panthers will not win this game, but, well, they might. They might win this game, but they will definitely win that first quarter +1. Take the spread, John.
They're gonna have to follow you until it breaks.
Until it breaks. Until
Right?
ride the wave.
Right? All right.
Right.
Little teaser I got here. I kind of like it when I look at these numbers. Arizona +10.5, Baltimore +11.5. 2 games we already mentioned on the best bets in the podcast here. I like teasing them over the 10. The Bears shouldn't be favored by 10 against anyone. I think we can all agree on that. And with Trey McBride, the tight end, I see this as a horrible matchup for Chicago Bears. Baltimore, I laid out. I love them to cover the 5.5 this week, but my data also says at 11.5, these boys got a 66% chance of covering. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take it.
Yeah, I will take that as well. Hey, man, I'm gonna lay it out here because I like to go on the record as well when the Ravens do beat the 49ers. And they not only cover the +5.5, but they actually win that game because my fantasy quarterback is Lamar Jackson and he is awesome. I just want it on the record. So I'm going to make another reiterate a featured bet. So it's almost like a triple bet, and I'm taking the Ravens +5. I +5.5. I'm not just you mentioned the game. But I'm just putting it out there too. Let's just put it out there as like a triple and let's count it. Okay. Should we count it?
I like it. I like
So
it.
if we lose 3 or 2 or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I like it. That
One
means
of the best.
that means double units at the very least.
Double. One of the best games of the week. We can all agree. 2 teams in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed, both NFC, AFC. 49ers are coming off a just crushing bad teams and good teams. They are humming on offense. Brock Purdy looks like the next great quarterback. And that's why you got to bet against them at home, right? Because I think the Ravens are just they're going to come in there and they're not going to lay down. They're not going to lay down. And I also like this. I heard this. I'm just building on what you said earlier. Data likes the cover number 1, but I heard this stat. Lamar Jackson is 11-2 against the spread when he is a dog.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm just putting it out there.
True. That's true.
All right.
Nice. I like it. All right.
Well, there you go, my man.
That does it. That does it for the old Daddy Sharps featured bets this week. And remember, always gamble responsibly and within your means. And the bets we share are based on our own research. We don't always win, but I think you can see we normally do.
Yeah, we cleaned up last week and we will from here on out. Hey, be sure and check us out on social media. Look for the Daddy Sharps on Instagram and Twitter. And check out our website, daddysharps.com. That's daddysharps.com. We will be back next week, of course, with much, much more.
Luke, got a question for you.
Oh, what's that? Yeah.
Who is your daddy?
Oh, we are.
Stay sharp, everyone.